Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the weekly edit. And today I want to talk to you about what are the strongest skills that you're ever going to build. And that is unconditional love. Not the fluffy kind, the bubble bath kind, or the scented candle kind, but I'm talking about the fierce, grounded, sovereign self-loyalty. Because what I see with autism parents, and I see it over and over again, you love your child unconditionally, but yourself, not so much. Lots of conditions. You only love yourself when you stayed calm during the chaos, when you've handled that meeting like a warrior. You've made a dinner instead of going for takeaways. You didn't lose your temper. You kept the house looking spick and span, or you looked strong. And you withhold love when you snap, you cry, you feel resentful, you want to run away, you forget an appointment, you scroll instead of doing the exercises that you really want to do. Or when you feel like failing, you decide good parent today, bad parent today, worthy, unworthy. And that scoreboard is exhausting to say the least. So I want to offer something radical. You are 100% worthy. Not when you're doing well or when you're regulated or when your child is progressing or when your marriage feels steadier. You were worthy the day that you were born, and nothing has changed. It has not changed since then. Not because of what you do, not because of how you perform, not because of how well you cope, just because you exist. Now, I know some of you are already coming up with arguments in your head, saying things like, but you don't understand. If you knew what I've said, if you knew what I did, if you knew how angry I could be, if you knew the thoughts that I have, if you knew how tired I was, how checked out I feel, listen to me carefully. Being overwhelmed does not cancel your worth. Losing your temper does not cancel your worth. Feeling resentful doesn't cancel your worth. Making mistakes doesn't cancel your worth. You are not your worst moment. You are also not your best moment. You are a human being navigating something that is so complex and so demanding. And we don't talk about it enough. We don't talk about when you only love yourself, when you're doing well. You will avoid taking anything that risks failure. You will avoid growth. You will avoid asking for help. You will avoid trying new things. You will avoid showing up boldly. You will avoid resting. You will avoid honesty. Because if your worth depends on performance, you are going to protect that performance at all costs. And that protection becomes your prison. Some of you, some of us are still trying to be the good girl or the good guy, the strong one, the capable one, the selfless one, the endlessly patient one. And underneath all of that performance is a man or a woman who is scared to admit that they are tired. They're scared to admit that they're angry. They're scared to admit that sometimes they want more. They're scared to admit that sometimes they don't like this version of their life, this version of themselves. And if you cannot allow yourself to be human, you are going to be performative. You will smile when you really don't want to. You'll say it's fine when it isn't really. And you'll say, I've got this when you really don't. That is not strength. That is self-abandonment. Unconditional love is not indulgence. It's not letting yourself do whatever the hell you like. It's not collapsing in victimhood. It's fierce. It sounds like, hey, we can do better than this. Something feels off. Let's have a look at it. Okay, we lost our temper. Let's fix it. That was messy, but we're still worthy. We need support. or this isn't working, let's try something different. It's you having your own back. And what changes when you do have your own back? You stop waiting for your husband or your wife to validate you. You stop waiting for the teacher to approve of you. You stop waiting for the specialist to confirm that you're doing everything or enough. You stop waiting for your child's progress to prove that you are a good parent. You become internally sourced. And that is inner stability. And when you love yourself unconditionally, you can actually expand because failure no longer threatens your identity. So trying something new no longer feels like it's dangerous, and setting a boundary doesn't feel selfish, and resting no longer feels like laziness. You stop collapsing when things go wrong because your worth is not on trial. And the unexpected bonus is when you stop judging yourself as good or bad, you stop judging everyone else as well. Maybe you soften towards your wife, maybe you soften towards your child or the teacher, or soften towards the world. And not because you tolerate poor behavior, but because you understand there's humanity. You understand people are just human, and humans are not nice all of the time. They are not regulated all of the time. They are not fair all of the time, and neither are you. Now, that's not failure. That is just being human. Think about how you love your child. You don't stop loving them when they hit. You don't stop loving them when they scream. You don't stop loving them when they regress. You hold boundaries, you guide, you teach, you regulate, you protect, but you don't withdraw love. That is fierce love. Now apply that to yourself. When you yell or when you shut down or spiral or overreact or avoid or procrastinate, what if you did not withdraw love? What if instead you said, we are still worthy? What happened here? What do we need? How do we fix this? What support would help? What skill do we need to strengthen? This is emotional leadership, and I want to be clear about something. Unconditional love does not mean that you accept everything. It doesn't mean that you stay in toxic dynamics. It doesn't mean that you tolerate disrespect. It doesn't mean that you never change. It means you love yourself regardless. You can love someone and still create distance, like those family members. You can love someone and still set boundaries. You can love yourself and still demand growth. And love feels a lot better than shame. And love is definitely more effective than self-hatred. So here is your practical work for this week. Start listening to your self-talk. Notice when you say, I suck. I can't handle this. I'm not cut out to do this. Other people do this better. I should be stronger. Pause, breathe, and ask yourself, would you speak to your child that way? Would you speak to your best friend that way? And if the answer is no, then you're not practicing unconditional love. Replace it with fierce self-loyalty. Try this instead. This is hard. I am learning. I'm overwhelmed, not incapable. I need support. We're growing here. And here is a belief that I would like you to borrow if you struggle with self-worth. You did not create yourself. However you understand creation, God, the universe, biology, the Big Bang, life, whatever, you were born worthy. As a baby, you didn't earn that love. You didn't need to perform for it. You were just inherently worthy. Nothing that you've done since has actually altered that core value. Not trauma, not mistakes, not anger, not regret, not failure. Your worth is intact. Your skills can grow. Your behavior can improve. You can evolve. Your regulation can strengthen. But your worth, untouchable. When you live from that place, you stop surviving your life and you start leading it. And when you lead yourself well, your entire family feels it. You are 100% worthy and you're allowed to be fully human. So this week, I want you to notice, where am I loving myself conditionally? Where am I withdrawing love from myself? And where am I performing instead of being honest? And then practice fierce loyalty, because the parent who has their own back is unstoppable. And your child does not need a perfect parent. They need a mother and a father, mother or a father, who knows that they are worthy, even on the messiest of days. Now that is power. That is leadership. That is unconditional love. All right, my friends, that's what I have for you today. I will see you next week. And please don't forget to join the private Facebook group. See you. Bye-bye.